For 125 years, it is where industrial titans and civic leaders have brokered deals over rounds of golf. For more than a century, it has been a home away from home for families seeking respite from the workaday world. This is the story of the Portage Country Club of Akron, Ohio. Following the Civil War, Akron, Ohio was a powerhouse of industrial manufacturing, in cereal, in clay products, and in rubber. The B.F. Goodrich Company was founded in 1870. Goodyear and Firestone would be founded at the turn of the 20th century. George Todd Perkins, grandson of Akron's founder, was president of Goodrich. The family home, situated on a hill outside the city limits, was where the family raised sheep in the 1840s. The flock's shepherd was the abolitionist John Brown, who lived in a two-room house located on the Portage, used by native people for centuries to reach the Tuscarawas River from the mighty Cuyahoga to the north. Charles Goodrich, the son of the company's founder, teamed up with Perkins' son-in-law Charles Raymond to turn Perkins Farm into a 3-hole golf course. The John Brown home became the clubhouse. 3 holes soon became 6, and eventually, with the help of Goodrich factory superintendent Bertram Work, a 9-hole course was developed. In 1897, a national magazine offered a description of the course. Portage Country Club's place in the history of golf was secured with the development of the rubber core golf ball, made exclusively by Goodrich and first used on the Portage links. By 1899, Portage Golf Club was one of only 150 clubs in the entire country. By 1902, women were playing the Portage course, and a year later, tennis was added to the golf links. On January 7, 1905, the Articles of Incorporation of the Portage Country Club were filed with the state of Ohio. The club leased an 86-acre farm further north on Portage Path. The new golf course was laid out by the club's first pro, Harry Smith. A new clubhouse was designed by the prominent architect Howard Shaw of Chicago, dedicated in 1906. Akron's leading families lived near downtown, where the constant smell of rubber smoke and oatmeal hung over the city. Wealthy Akron families began migrating west of the city limits to create a unique social and architectural enclave that was part of the American country estate movement. Goodyear founder F.A. Seiberling was accumulating land to the north, which became Stan Hewitt in 1915. Harvey Firestone built the family's estate Harbell Manor to the south of the golf club. Goodrich inventor John Gameter lived on Portage Path and was the first to tinker with aviation. The Portage Fairways became a landing strip for Akron's first aeroplane. In 1918, the nationally famous designer William Langford was hired to lay out a new 18-hole course. The Great War delayed construction, but when completed in 1920, Portage Country Club immediately became one of the most exceptional golf clubs in the United States. On February 19, 1921, fire was discovered in the boiler room early in the morning. 8 men who lived in the clubhouse escaped unharmed, but the clubhouse and its furnishings were destroyed. The club vowed immediately to rebuild and hired prominent Akron architects Good and Wagner to design a new clubhouse. The craftsman style dominated the design with accents of Tudor revival. Naturally finished wood, a handcrafted tiled fireplace, leaded glass windows lined the gallery. There were 2 fireplaces in the new assembly room, and 2 years later, in May 1923, the club reopened for business. Akron boomed in the Roaring '20s, when country clubs were barometers of power and prestige. By 1929, there were almost 5,000 country clubs in the United States. The history of Portage Country Club has been marked by the presence of renowned golf professionals. Al Espinoza, who qualified for the U.S. Open, brought his skills to Portage members in 1931. His teaching assistant, Herman Kaiser, won the Masters in 1946. Denny Shute, the winner of the 1933 British Open, became resident pro in 1945. He's remembered in the World Golf Hall of Fame. Today, the history of the club is remembered in the men's locker room, where even the furnishings remind golfers of the legacy they are still part of. For most of the 20th century, many of the important decisions about Akron, its industrial growth, its civic development, were made at the 19th hole. 100 years of club champions are remembered here, along with Akron's greatest leaders, a newspaper publisher, and the powerhouse chairman of Goodyear. Over the years, Portage has hosted American greats. Akron lawyer Wendell Willkie was a member in 1925. He would seek the U.S. presidency in 1940. In 1929, the Goodyear blimp landed on the fairway with its guest, Charles Lindbergh. In 1935, New York salesman Bill Wilson lived at the club while partnering with Dr. Bob Smith in founding Alcoholics Anonymous. A 1947 bachelor party was held at Portage when the nation's two most socially prominent families were joined in marriage, Martha Park Firestone and William Clay Ford. Vice President Richard Nixon played Portage in 1957. The Portage Country Club has seen continuous improvements over the last 80 years. Redesigns of the golf course. The lower level was rebuilt in 1941. A new dining room was added in 1947. And in 1949, after many years of discussion, a swimming pool was built. In 1994, on the 100th anniversary of the club, a major remodeling of the clubhouse took place. Fire once again broke out on January 30th, 1999.
This was one of the biggest fires to strike the city of Akron in years.
Flames on the upper floors were doused with thousands of gallons of water that ruined many of the furnishings downstairs. Over a period of 2 years, the glory of Portage Country Club was restored. The Portage, a country club in a city of the 1920s, is still located at the middle of urban development. It is a different club in a very different city, 125 years after its founding. With a tradition of tender treatment of its turf, complementing the modernization of its property, the club has adapted to a new generation of members, more inclusive, more focused on families and wellness. The Portage Country Club has always been a place for business leaders and professionals to create networks that are critical to the vibrancy of the economy of Greater Akron. And it continues to be a place where lasting family memories are made. As the club prepares for a future that is ever-changing, it honors its connections to its past, while nourishing the values that have remained constant since 1894.